Hey everyone, it's your girl Chap D here, and I would like to welcome you to the New Life Chat with Chap videocast. And today I am so excited about our topic because we talk about topics that are relevant, conversations that matter. And today our topic is entitled Act Up. We're talking about how the gospel calls us to act up for justice. And I am super excited about our guest person today. You may have heard of him. You may be aware of him. And his name is Jaime Kowlessar. Oh, I got that right, Jaime?
You got it. You did it. we can end the podcast now.
Right now. Man, Jaime, thank you so much for being with us on this Chat with Chap video cast where we talk about relevant conversations. We talk about things that matter, things that are dear to our heart. And so this is the second episode. And we first had Seth, your Lorder. He was great. And now we have you, Jaime. And we're so glad that you're here with us. Jaime, I'm aware of you. I know you, but some people may not be aware of you. So I want the folk to get to know you. Jaime, tell us where you're from. What's your favorite food? What's your family like? Talk to us a bit.
Oh man, yeah. So of course I'm always repping New York City. Born and raised Brooklyn, New York. My parents, though, everybody else in my family, my siblings, they're from Guyana. But I'm American born. I don't know. Only thing I know about Guyana is the food and some of the things like that. So if you ask me what's my favorite meal, I got to say curry chicken and rice. Like
you better. Okay.
Yeah, going on that. But yeah, so I'm married. I've been married for my wife's gonna kill me. This is 2013, about to be 13 years. May will be 13 years. Nice. We have 2 daughters. We have Caitlin and Amber. Caitlin is 9. She'll be 20 in March. Like she's already growing up, but she'll be 10, exactly 10 in March. And Amber is 9 years old, and she'll be 10 in September or 9 in September. I don't know. I get it mixed up. I just know they keep growing. So
make sure you have the games ready. That's all that matters.
That's right. I keep them alive. As far as me, I live in Texas, Dallas, Texas. I'm the lead pastor of the City Temple Seventh-day Adventist Church. I also founded my own nonprofit called Raise Your Voice that empowers people to speak out against injustice. How do we do it? What's the best ways, practices, and things like that. And I currently have a doctorate of ministry in social justice and political activism, and I'm working on my PhD. I'm about to submit my proposal in public policy and social change. So, yeah, I'm doing too much. I need to chill. I need to fall back.
Nah, you fall back when you're done, when it's all over.
True.
Wow. So I was going to ask you what is your passion, but based on everything you just mentioned, your passion, you eat, read social justice, social change. Man, how did you get into that type of work?
Interesting story. I think ever since I was a kid, I was always like a peacemaker. Like I always wanted to make everybody happy, just chill with everybody. But when I got into ministry officially, like in 2007, I remember I was at Ephesus in Harlem. That was my first assignment. Well, yeah, my first true assignment. And then it was a prayer meeting. And this lady got up and gave a testimony about, pray for my son. His school is not reaching him. The paint is chipping. The textbooks are just in bad condition for him to go to school. And, we did what normal churches do. We prayed for her. And it was like a revelation hit me where I was like, wait a minute, is that all we can do? Right. Can we do more than just pray for her? Can we go to the school? Can we talk to whomever it is? So from that moment, and then I started listening to other preachers, mainly Baptist preachers, and listen to how they combine the gospel and justice. I was like, yo, this is where I need to be. So, that's how I got into the passion of social justice.
Nice. I love it. Which kind of leads me to my first question, Jaime, because when I joined the church when I was 17 years old. And in my local church, Elmont Temple, you've preached there before.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Love my church to death. But within the Adventist church, talking about the broader culture, right? We don't really, now we're doing much better, but we'd never really focused in on social justice. We kind of were aloof, right, to issues in our community. And I know this is Black History Month, and we're about to end Black History Month. And in Black History Month, we've talked a lot of things about social justice, change, and things like that. And when the month is over, the conversation goes back to normal. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this this cast with you is because things shouldn't end once the month is over, right? Right? The conversation should still go on. We should still be active. But I want you to talk to us about, why do you think that the church has been so aloof to justice? Why has our focus just solely been on evangelism and proselytizing people as a way to get them out of their situation, rather than focusing on, as you were saying, school walls are chipping? Why aren't we involved? What is causing our our stance, our posture?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking that. And this is my belief, is that, one, I'll say that the Adventist theology is very Eurocentric, right? And I'll start with, we've been always taught in our theological frameworks that the most important thing is the protection of religious liberty, right? So protect worship on Sabbath. That's all that matters. And anything that's bad that's happening in the world, it is a sign of the end times. And these things are supposed to happen, but just wait, Jesus is gonna come back and make things better. So we've been taught literally that bad things are supposed to happen, and that, wait till the second return of Jesus Christ. So one, our theology is very insular, right? Very exclusive. And what I mean by that is that you have to be one of us in order to be saved, right? You have to become like one of us if we're going to help you. Right. The other reason too, and the second point that I want to make, is that we've mixed up charity and justice, right? We've thought that charity is doing social justice.
Right.
They're two different concepts. They work hand in hand, but they're not the same thing, right? So that's why you'll see a lot of churches, they'll feed people, they'll clothe people, things like that. But they'll do health fairs, but they won't do the work to make sure that food deserts are gone, right? Like, to get rid of bad food that's causing people to be sick. The other point in regards to, why we never really focused on social justice is, I think it just boils back to the fact that the forefathers, or the institution of our church, right, and those that created theology and studied theology, when they're in their writing and studying, they didn't have to worry about crosses being burned in front of their homes, right? They didn't have to worry about their husbands being pulled out at night and castrated. They didn't have to worry about, eminent domain or policies or laws not working for them, right? So all they really had to do was focus on the one thing that they felt threatened by. That was their right to worship on Sabbath. Like the Quakers and the Pilgrims, they came here for religious freedom. So, Black people were not at the table when we were developing this gospel, this message that we have. And so we have internalized that message, and we've denied ourselves. So that's why you'll have an Elmont Temple, which is in the middle of an impoverished community, and they'll be totally fine with all the poverty that's there, as long as they keep preaching, we got to protect the Sabbath, worship on Sabbath to go to heaven. Versus like the AMEs and, the Baptists, they had to read the Bible like, yo, this is what's going to protect me from injustice. Martin Luther King, right? He was solely burnt in the scriptures because that's how he understood it. So we don't come from a social justice lens when it comes to reading the scriptures.
Wow. So what I'm hearing you saying is that a lot of things, actually. One, our theology, we have this excavation theology of, or the second coming. So just focus on that. So the second thing I'm hearing you saying is that, those who kind of organized our theology as the Adventist Church came from a lens of privilege. Mm-hmm. So they did not really see the necessity of fighting the injustices that was happening for the other brothers and sisters, the Black brothers and sisters who were, fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not going to fault them for that, right? Like, there is documentation of Ellen White and her son going down to, the South. And that's how we got Oakwood Industrial School and Oakwood University. But, it was not at the forefront. And I think what's happening now and what we've experienced is that Black Adventists have put their humanity and their humanity to the side to fight for something that's not really that's not really that they not only say that they don't need to, but to deny I'll say better this way. We Black people need to have a distinct sound to the trumpet. We can't afford to just tell people Jesus Christ is coming back. We have to also fight to make living and humanity for people better as well.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way. Like, so we can't just go and say, "Oh, Jesus Christ is coming back. Jesus Christ is coming back." Yes, you can say that, but we need to fix what's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And we have the power to do it.
Absolutely, and that's great because I want to talk a little bit about, Jaime, if you could lead us into showing us how does the Bible give us a lens of fighting for justice, right? Talk to me in your study. How does the Bible lead us into that?
Yeah, well, the whole Bible is about fighting injustice. There's no other thing in there. Everything is about fighting injustice. Like you read in Proverbs where it talks about, and I'll read it. It talks about, here's what Proverbs 6:16-19 says. Yeah. These are the things that the Lord hates, right? And these are which are an abomination to him. He says, haughty eyes, lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deceives wicked plans, and feet that run rapidly to evil, right? So a heart that deceives wicked plans, right? That wickedness needs to be looked at as injustice, right? God hates injustice. I mean, you read from beginning to end, like after sin, the Bible's theme is Israel gets enslaved, God redeems them. Israel gets enslaved, God redeems them. The New Testament, Jesus comes, his first sermon, right? I've come to set the captives free.
Right.
It's a justice issue. And he's going to do that. You read in Revelation, Babylon is falling. What is God doing? He's coming to redeem. The New Testament, Jesus lived under Roman oppression.
Yeah.
And Caesar and all the things that he was doing was overturning, these systems of injustice that pushed people further to the margins. So the gospel is justice.
Yeah.
There is no, and I'll say this too, for, Greek scholars that are watching this, the gospel is translated as euangelion, right? That is a military term that when they would run and say the victory is won, right? And that's why it was good news that the victory is won. Right. So the gospel, if we take it that way, it is good news about overturning injustice. We're winning the war against injustice. So I don't see anything else. The whole Sabbath is about justice. Everything is about justice and fairness and equity.
I love it. So what you just said led me to this point. So I'll be honest with you. I think that as it pertains to fighting injustice and fighting for justice, that fight is rather political, right? Because the reason why injustice is so rampant is because there are policies in place that allows these injustices to happen, right? Mm-hmm. So the fight for justice it's to me is just rather political. Mm-hmm. Yet, if you're in the church, you would hear, like, as you mentioned before, that the church shouldn't get involved in politics. That church should be separate from government, and we shouldn't be involved in those things. So my question to you is, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, first of all, I say that's absurd. That's crazy. First of all, we get political every 2 years for nominating committee. We get political every 4 years for choosing a president. We get political every 5 years when it comes to GC, right? We
Right.
know about politics. Everything we do is political. Number two, if you pay taxes,
Mm.
you're in a political arena right there because there are policies that dictate how you how much taxes you should pay.
Right.
Now, that whole argument goes back to what we were saying, like, oh, I'm not gonna vote, I'm not gonna get involved because, you know, this is the way it's supposed to be, and I'll be supporting somebody who doesn't go, who disagrees with what we believe, which is crazy, right? Number one, which is one of the most selfish statements that
Mm.
bothers me, because when we vote, we not only vote for ourselves, we vote for the children that cannot vote, right? We vote for those immigrant children who have been separated from their parents. We vote for inmates who have been stripped their right to vote as well. That's who we vote for. So we are engaging in the work of God, in putting our faith voice in the ballot box to hopefully dictate and determine so that everybody can have life and have it more abundantly. So for Adventists to talk about, or the church to talk about, we shouldn't get involved with politics, then you should never vote when it comes to your church and nominating committee. You should never express your vote when it comes to board meeting. You should never vote when it comes to GC president or be concerned about that stuff, because that is political as well.
Yeah.
But here's what's important is that your voice in being political will have a greater impact on the world or on our society than what we vote inside of our little churches from day to day.
Oh, man, say it again. Oh, that is so true. That is so, and the reality is that we're so consumed in our political battles in the church that we are neglecting the communities that really need us, right?
Yeah, because Danielle, is this, right? Everything that we do is very transactional, and it's very sometimes selfish, right? So it's like we keep turning the Bible to be about us. Oh, the Sunday law, they're going to do this to us. Oh, they're going to persecute us. Oh, so so the Adventist church finds itself always in defense mode, right? It's always protecting itself from the people that we're supposed to be reaching, because we're so fixed on, when we have board meetings or when we have church meetings, it's arguments about what color should we paint this, or I deserve this much money, or I deserve this. And we need to really assess the fact that churches create selfish people. Sometimes they create toxic environments where we're so engrossed and focused on what we want that we're not thinking about what does our community need. Last point, any church that's out there, even Andrews University, if the people in the community, if the city council person came and said, would you rather have an Adventist church or a Chick-fil-A in this spot? 9 times out of 10, or if we go to Elmont Temple and we go to Elmont, the people next door, we say, hey, y'all want a McDonald's or a church here? They'll be like, give me the McDonald's. If they say, give me the McDonald's, close your door, because what they're basically saying is McDonald's is going to serve me better than your building that's sitting right there.
Wow. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was talking to someone a student, and he works at a store here in Berrien Springs. And, his coworkers are not Adventists or anything like that. And he's like, man, these people think we're some cult. They're like, we have a university here, but we don't interact with the community. We're just very like inward focused. And I'm just like, man, we are missing out on opportunities to really minister and to build relationship, right?
Yeah.
But this inward focus thing is what's causing it's a detriment to the gospel being preached, and for justice to be a thing of a reality. So Jaime, my question to you is, because I want this to be an equipping conversation as well. You as a pastor, as an activist, how do we mobilize not just the institution of church, but the people, right, the individual members, to see justice work as important, and how do we equip them? How do we mobilize them?
Yeah, great question. From my experience, we have to first listen and then we speak, right? So sometimes we speak before we listen. And I think it's important for churches and for institutions to listen to the voices of those that have been marginalized, to hear their stories. That's what empowers us, right? It's through the stories of those that have been pushed to the ends of society, who are neglected, because we walk around, when we're so insular, we walk around in blindness. And one of the hardest things to do is to convince people with privilege what it's like not to have privilege, right?
Yeah.
So, to tell people how important food deserts are, and, the impact. If you have a car and you can drive to a supermarket, you really don't know what it's like for somebody who can't drive to a supermarket and who has to depend on going to a, we know corner store, right? Because we from New York City, or like a bodega, bodega, whatever, right? Or going to a gas station, in some other states, things like that. So that's why it's important for churches to be willing to listen. And and I'm going back to this, we got to get out of this defense mode. Like we're protected, like it's almost like we're fighting against the people in the community. And the only time we want to know them is when they're ready to become one of us. We have to be willing. So one of the things that I did was I opened up my church to have a community meeting. To listen, to let them use my sanctuary, right? Not a room on the side, the sanctuary, to talk about the issues in the community. When I heard those stories, it motivated me to say, this can't be life, right? This can't be right. So I think those are some ways. The other thing too is, like, if you're going to want to do social justice, you got to get up and get out. You got to get in the streets. There are so many organizations that are out there that are doing some work that you're passionate about.
Right.
Go to the meetings, sit down, listen. And then once you start downloading that into your system and hearing those stories, then you'll be able to respond in an intelligent way and in a respectful way as well. And the Bible will become different to you as well. You'll look at the woman with the issue of blood. You'll see that story, and you'll see where it says she went to every doctor and she got worse and worse.
Yeah.
Right there, that's a healthcare issue, right? You're gonna see, oh, that's healthcare. There's a problem right there, right? Why couldn't this woman go to one doctor and be healed? Why does she have to keep bouncing around a doctor to doctor to doctor, and they keep taking more from her? So you begin to have a different lens and perspective on the Bible when you start getting out and getting involved. When we stay inside, we just focus on ourselves.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Jesus spent more time outside than inside. Like 99% of what he did was outside. It was not inside the temple.
That's so true. That's so true. And we spend most of our church experience inside the building, right?
Yeah. Especially as Adventists, we don't come out till the sunset. We're early, and we don't come out till it's dark. We're like some vampires.
Wow. So, we're talking to a broad range of people, but particularly to some college students. And Jaime, I want our college students to begin thinking about this now. How can they use their degrees, their calling, their gifting to be a part of society and to bring about justice? And, that's something that we've been hitting all month. Like, guys, like, church isn't just about the building. It's about you being a part of, like, the society and making it better. So do you have any other tips or any other suggestions or advice that you would give to college students who are like, I want to be a part of justice work. I want to be a part of acting up for justice. How can I do that? How can I do that at Andrews? Do you have any advice for those students?
Yeah. I think everybody's purpose on earth is to inspire others, right? Like, that's your purpose, to inspire others. That's what the work that Jesus did. He inspired others. He told them, you are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. So I think once you know that you are here to inspire others, the other thing that's important is for you to find your passion. What are you passionate about? What breaks your heart? What keeps you up at night? What is something that you see that you want to fix? Because once you find your passion, then the work that you're going to do is not going to be tedious or like wearisome because you're passionate about it. You want to be involved and you want to know more about it. The other thing too is that we got to remember that there are always two types of people in the world. There's one that makes the world better for themselves, and there's another that makes the world better for other people.
That's good.
Christians are supposed to make the world better for other people. Therefore, whatever you are studying, you need to be studying that in a way that how are you going to help other people, right? So it's almost like, when you go to a convention or you go to a meeting, and if you go through the door and you notice somebody before you left a wedge inside of the door.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why they left that wedge in that door is because whoever went in there before was thinking about who's coming after them, and they wanted to leave the door open. So what I think for students, what they need to know is how can you be that wedge? When you get through the door, you need to leave it open so that other people can get inside as well. Don't lock the door behind you. So use everything that you're studying, because in capitalism in America, the way that's practiced here, it's all about get, right?
Yeah.
How do I step on this person to get more? You got to understand God is not a capitalist in that way. And that we need to reverse how we think and think about how are we going to use what we know to change the world. We can do it. If the world can be changed towards evil, like bend towards evil, then we can bend it towards justice if we're all on the same page. So yeah, everybody's got a part to play. And that would be, if I'm talking to a student, that's how I would say it to them.
That was really good, Jaime. I really like that statement you made about, you could either make the world better for you or better for others. That right there in a nutshell is really good. Man, Jaime, my passion and your passion is to see this world and to see this church leading the charge in social justice. When I read the book, the autobiography of Martin Luther King Jr., and he was talking about the bus boycott, in Birmingham, and how the people worked together and they walked miles to work and they used church buses to make sure that each person was taken care of. And I always say to myself, like, when could we get back to this day?
Yeah.
But I think we can, but it takes intentional preaching the gospel in the lens of social justice and realizing that it's not just something on the side, but it is the gospel, as you frequently said. And so I think that with more preachers and doctors like you in the field teaching this type of stuff and leading the charge, I think that we're going to get to a place where the church again will be relevant in leading the charge for justice.
Absolutely. And you ain't no slouch, like you're killing it. You're doing your thing. And if there's anything like I want whoever watches this to get is that let's flip the narrative on social justice, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at social justice as repair, right? Because injustice breaks things, right?
Yeah.
Injustice breaks families. Injustice breaks personalities. It wearies people down. It causes broken communities. When we do the work of social justice, we are repairing what has been broken.
Yeah.
And where we are involved in the work that Jesus did. When he says, I've come to heal the brokenhearted, set the captives free, give sight to the blind, he is repairing.
Yeah.
He's doing the work of repair of what the scribes and Pharisees, the Roman occupation, has done, broken it. So when we look at social justice as repair, it takes on a different light, because what we're saying now is that we are builders. And we're building a better community. We're building a better society through social justice, through the work that we saw God do and Jesus do when he was on this earth.
That's so good, Jaime. I think we're going to leave them on that note because that's really, really good. Jaime, thank you so much for joining us for our second episode of Chat with Chap. Our title today was Act Up, and we're calling each person to act up for justice. Thank you so much for imparting to us these words of wisdom, these tools, these action steps. And I hope all of you who are listening and watching that you take from this and you act for justice. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.